we're gonna go ahead and move on to the damn Denver Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
Defending champions, 19-10 right now. They are, I can't even lie to you. 19-10 doesn't seem that impressive, quote unquote, for what I'm about to say. But I feel like I'm a little more scared of them now than I was last year. I'll get into why, but I'll let you go in on that team a little bit first.
No, man, this team is like I don't even know what to compare him to. It's just like the little engine that won't stop.
Yeah.
And that engine is obviously Nikola Jokic. Like, it is insane what he does. And it's not a little engine. It's a Duramax diesel, whatever. I don't know nothing about cars, but it's the biggest thing you could find. And it just doesn't stop. And it doesn't matter who's around him. He makes it work. And he is so incredibly difficult to stop, to contain. This offense is full of players that play a role to a T.
Mm-hmm.
And the buy-in is ridiculous. I know their record isn't looking as good. They've had a lot of injuries, and they're cruise like since last year they were the best team basketball had seen offensively ever up until like January, and then they were like, all right, we got to chill out. We got the playoffs to come, so they took like a month and a half vacation. That's kind of what it felt like. I feel like they won a chip. They're like, yeah, we're taking a little bit of a vacation. Like, because you still see, moments and times where they turn it on. And it's crazy because I don't even think they're playing that like as good as they should be. And they're 19-10 is the way I'm looking at it. This team is a way better team than 19-10. And they still don't get, I feel like people don't really talk about like the West still has to go through them.
Yeah. Like,
are we not watching them play basketball? Like I realize to some people it may feel fluky, whatever you want to say, but this team has, they have the best offensive hub in basketball.
Yeah.
Like, I feel very confident saying that. I feel like it shouldn't even be debatable at this point. And they honestly have the best two-man game in basketball, in my opinion. Yeah. It's not just the hub of Jokic, if not the playmaking of Jamal, his shot making off the pick and roll, their ability to play together is something that I feel like no other duo does to quite that level. Shout out to Maxey and Embiid. I know we'll talk about them at some point because they're giving them a run for their money. But still, it's a different level of just efficiency with those two guys. And yeah, man, I'll let you talk about them because I can ramble on all day.
So here's why I say they scared me more this year than they did last year. So they lost Bruce Brown in the offseason, and nobody really talked about it, but the sentiment from people who did was it's kind of a tough loss. I don't know. Bruce Brown, he did a lot for him. Great defender, versatile player. And I thought that too for like a day or two, and I was like, hold up. This gives Christian Brown an opportunity now to kind of do some of the same things. And he's younger. He came up in their system in a sense. And look, as Heat fans, I don't remember which game that was because I put it out of my memory. But we know his
the whole it wasn't a game, it was a whole series.
Really, yeah.
he single-handedly shut down our offense the whole series.
So we know his potential already. And so that was like, all right, they lost Bruce Brown, but typically when players let a guy like that walk, they have something. Usually when a team lets a guy like that walk, they have something in mind already. So I usually look for what that is. And I found it pretty quickly in Christian Brown. Now, what I didn't expect, a couple weeks ago, I'm watching Nuggets versus Suns, and I'm watching Peyton Watson hold Kevin Durant, who I understand his age, but he's still averaging 30 right now. He's still Kevin Durant. Hold Kevin Durant to 1 for 9 from the field and not break a sweat. And his offense is coming along now.
That's the guy. I know you were talking about Christian Braun. I don't know how to say his last name, but I know you're talking about Christian. But I remember as soon as the Bruce Brown news broke, I believe Mike Malone was asked about it, and he was like, "Yeah, the team president was like, yeah, we feel very confident Peyton Watson specifically, they name dropped him, can fill the Bruce Brown role." And man, he hasn't been perfect. Neither was Bruce Brown. As a Miami fan, I loved him to death. I still love him to death. But it's just players that fit in within a concept, and his defense his ability to just do everything. It feels
Mhm.
like, like he might not be like otherworldly at anything. Maybe his defense is, that level of elite,
Yeah.
or it certainly has the potential to be. He's
Mhm.
still incredibly young.
Yeah.
It's just he's able to affect the game in so many areas, and he's truly able to. The game that I saw specifically was the OKC game,
Mhm.
which was a heck of a game they lost in. But man, Peyton Watson was, it felt like the only person who can contain Shea for a
Mhm.
while in that game. He had an incredible first half, and had some mistakes in the second half. And
Yeah.
shout out to Mike Malone. I feel like he's an incredible coach that doesn't really get the respect that I feel like he probably deserves. I mean, I know he got a coach of the year, but I'm just talking about like general, like
Yeah.
people don't
Generally
really
speaking.
talk about him. But he let him play through a lot of those mistakes, and that's a big thing for this team, because Bruce Brown for them was huge last year. So him now basically having two guys, fill that void in a sense, instead of one, is just great. And then another thing, they're great cost controlled assets.
Yeah.
Like we talk about team building, like the Nuggets have done it to a fucking crisp T. Like they know exactly
Mhm.
what the fuck they're doing. Their cap sheets don't look all the way crazy, because
Right.
they know who they pay and they know what they can get.
Mhm.
And their pipeline is incredibly good. They have picks coming in, I feels like every year, who
Yeah.
come in ready to contribute. Zeke Naji is another one of them. Like it's just incredible. Like the team in general is just very properly built, coached, and I wouldn't be shocked if they go all the way again, man.
Yeah. And I predicted, honestly. I don't make predictions, but I don't know how you stop that. And I do want to mention, because before I forget, you mentioned Mike Malone, and I put this together recently because I like looking beyond just the game and like looking at guys' background and the coaching staff, stuff like that. And so Mike Malone stopped before Denver, was head coach of the Sacramento Kings, where he coached. If people don't remember how good DeMarcus Cousins was before those injuries,
Go
man,
watch
look.
the film.
and so he had experience coaching a big who could pass, who could handle, and then you get this just like, if you listen to previous episodes, you probably know my first favorite player when I started watching basketball was Jason Kidd. So anytime I'm able to put anybody in his like realm as far as passing,
Yep.
it's impressive. Anybody. When you can put a 7-foot center in there, and I can't even deny it's just like the cross court passes, and he does something specifically that I remember as a kid hearing Jason Kidd say, because I think there's millions of field basketball players out there. I'm not the only one. So when I was trying to learn the game and stuff, Jason Kidd will mention not passing to the player himself, but passing to a spot.
There you go.
Or where you want the player to go. And so watching Nikola Jokic in, whether it's an inverted pick and roll or whether it's a dribble handoff, and his teammate is still at the free throw line, but the ball is under the basket, it's just like, all right, you know what? This is a little different. Like, it's one thing, like, to a lead pass is one thing, but like, no, the ball is all the way over there. Go get it. And I know the defense is not going to get it.
He is so special, man. I know they made the right choice, because it was between him and Nurkic for a while, and they decided him. And this is no discredit to Nurkic. It's just we got to give Jokic his props. I think he does. You named one of the things he does that I feel like is literally unteachable. I feel like you cannot teach people to read the game of basketball the way that Nikola Jokic reads the game of basketball. You can help him make a read or two, but he reads everything at once all the time, on the dribble, on the move, during a post up, during a fade. Like it doesn't matter. And the other thing is his touch.
Yeah. He does not miss.
I swear, I feel like I've never seen the man miss a hook shot that touches the rim more than once. Like if it touches the rim twice, it goes in. His ability to make tough contested shots with that level of touch. This was a stat that floated around basically all of last year. It was Nikola Jokic was the best on what they call touch or floaters or runners, whatever you want to call those level of shots. He shot 67%, which was the best in basketball. The second best player was Tyler Hero. He shot 54%. So it was a 13% difference between the best touch in the league and the rest of the league. It was like, what are we watching here? Like it's not common to like like you see great defense being played, and then the ball trickles twice, goes in, and you're like you just like it's like he's unguardable. Obviously, he doesn't shoot as much as some of the people,
Right.
and his game isn't as flashy, I guess. But man, when you talk about efficiency, he's he should be the pillar, the epitome of efficiency in today's basketball. And the reason this team is anywhere what they are is it's honestly him. Like, they struggle without some of their other players there, but I feel like you can still see him in the playoffs. Without him there, I don't know where this team lies. So
yeah, and so I also have a crazy Nikola Jokic stat for you. So because he gets the flack for not being a great defender, and watching the games, he look. Did you know Nikola Jokic is currently third in the league in deflections per game?
I'm so happy you brought up his defense, man. People, I feel like people see somebody who's just slow and doesn't move well, and they're like, bad defender.
Yeah.
As a big in their scheme, he's not asked to do things that he's not comfortable doing. Shout out Mike Malone. But the things that he does, he's not a great at the level. Like, he's not really a great at the level defender, kind of.
Right.
But when he goes to the level, he has Aaron Gordon behind him, lets him play a little bit more free, makes him a better defender. Just that level of confidence, of security behind you helps you out. But when he plays and drop, his ability to strip, to get into the, his IQ offensively translates to him being just it's a defense.
And it has to.
It's
the yin and the yang.
Exactly. And he's not the most wild defender. He doesn't really get a block a game for somebody who's 7 feet damn near. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, just watch him play basketball and you're like, damn, contested a shot. Not, wasn't out of position there. Affected this, deflected a pass. One thing I will say that the NBA has to fix is his kickball rule, because he leads the league. Like, he's playing soccer out there, and it's frustrating to watch as a basketball fan. I feel like they need to revamp the rule. If there's a kickball on a backdoor and the guy was open, maybe a free throw in the ball or something. I don't know, man. NBA fixed that for a bit, but like, credit to him exploiting a rule in the league. Like, we see it all the time on offense. It's just the IQ. Like, you're not going to fix it. I'm going to take advantage. And it's props to the players. I know players hate that. I mean, fans hate that, but everybody talks like, if the rule is like that, then I'm going to expose it. CP3, Harden, like some of the smartest players the game's ever seen had literally, prolonged their career doing shit like that. So, shout out to Jokic and his defense. Continue.
Yeah, and you can't talk defense without me really getting into it, because like that's my that, like, being able to block shots was the only reason I ever got on the floor in high school. I'm gonna be honest with you. All I could do was jump out the gym and block some shots. But when we get into defense, I'm so glad you mentioned, like, looking at the other things that are not so loud. He's not gonna block your dunk. He's not gonna get in the passing lane and windmill on the other end. And so it kind of goes unnoticed because he is within, like you said, a scheme, and he's not. Like, I feel like, and it's not to disparage anybody or any type of fan or anything. I don't want to do that. But it feels like people learned, even like not even fully learned, but kind of learned the concept of mismatch hunting, and just wouldn't stop talking about it, whether they knew what they were talking about or not. So, no, Nikola Jokic is not going to shut Kyrie down. That's not going to happen. But there's so much more that goes into defense. And even that scheme in itself, well, not scheme, that strategy in itself is not necessarily even effective that often, because defense is a team concept. And so within that team concept, you still have your help. Like you mentioned, he has Aaron Gordon with him. He may have Peyton Watson with him. As long as he can hold down his spot on the floor, he's still playing great defense, regardless of if he's in somebody's chest. I feel like the idea of great defense is being in somebody's jersey and blocking their shot or stripping them or whatever it is. But there's, like I said, there's so much more. And I may have said this in a previous episode, but I feel like offense is worked on in the gym and defense is worked on in the film room. To where guys' tendencies, where the other team sets, where you're blowing them up, where where everybody's supposed to be and you're exploiting it. And I feel like we've marveled at Nikola Jokic's IQ this whole time. That's what he makes up for whatever physical disadvantages he has with the IQ, with being in the right spot at the right time, with understanding where his teammates are, where the other team's team, where everybody on the other team is. And so I just want to give him some credit for that. And there's a lot more guys out. Look, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, it's only episode 7. When defense get brought up, it's probably gonna end up with me kind of ranting a little bit. I'm gonna be honest with you because I love defense. And so I'm gonna give him credit for that. And we honestly just can't move on without talking about Jamal Murray. Came back from injury recently. He hasn't put up huge numbers, but I don't feel like that matters, especially within that team's offense. You're probably never going to get a guy aside from Jokic averaging 30, even if Jokic even wants to average 30. They move the ball too much for that. Mm-hmm. So that's just not a team where you just look at numbers and say, all right, well, he's only averaging however many points. He's having a down year. And I'm going to be honest, I don't check stats. It's very rare for me to watch a game and look at the box score. I never know that stuff. And it's not to be like, oh, y'all are box score watchers, whatever, I'm above you. It's not that. It's just like those numbers don't really say anything most of the time. I feel like I'll look at the numbers to kind of like, I feel like a guy's having a good game. I'll watch to reaffirm it. But
exactly,
for the most part, those numbers just don't really, you can't have. So I feel like numbers are the icing on the cake. But without the cake, icing is just kind of nasty. You don't need it. That's how I feel about it. So I feel like watching the games also. But back to the point, Jamal Murray, obviously their pick and roll, all the two-man actions were unstoppable last season. And I feel like as Jamal Murray gets his rhythm back, it's obviously going to be the same thing.
Yeah, 2,000%. Like I said, man, I feel like this team doesn't really care about the regular season. Like they know how good they are. They just want to repeat. And every time people always bring up, oh, is Jamal Murray this? Is Jamal Murray that? In the regular season, people question it. But when the playoffs come, that's never been asked. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be, because every time whether it was in the bubble, whether it was last year, every year it's felt like since he's been in the playoffs and his responsibility goes up, it's not that he's not doing it in the regular season. It's just he's not being asked to do it as much. Mm-hmm. But when he gets asked, like, all right, it's the postseason. We need you to shoulder an extra 10, 15%. He does it. And instead of his efficiency dropping, it stays the same or improves. It's truly ridiculous. His playmaking is something that's gotten incredibly better since like when he first came into even in the bubble, where he was, him and Mitchell were going at it for a while. That was one of the most entertaining basketball playoff series I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. But his ability to play make back then wasn't at this level. He's making these reads that, his assist numbers, I don't even know what the fuck they are. And I know he's never averaged like 7 or 6 assists in his career. But it doesn't matter because that's not what the team is tailored to. It's just the reads that he's making during the game. Like the advantages he's given his team, both on the ball with his scoring and as a playmaker, is something that's going to continue to get overlooked because the stats don't talk about it. But man, he's been sensational. He's just getting his rhythm back and he's still lighting it up from 3. Like the shot is real. His ability to create shots is real. His ability to, I feel like he doesn't really force much.
Right.
Just play within the offense. Yeah. Is truly special. And yeah, we'd be remiss not to bring him up for sure.
Yeah, and I do want to give one more player a shout out before we move on. Aaron Gordon, I'm gonna give credit to. Dang. And now we're not gonna talk about this until All-Star Weekend where it's more appropriate, but I know exactly why, because every year there's the Why Don't Stars enter the dunk contest. I know exactly why, but we'll get into that in a couple months. Aaron Gordon stopped caring about the dunk contest, and as soon as that happened, he becomes a major contributor on a championship team. The defense. Now, I remember him on Orlando. He could handle the ball some, he could score. I do not remember him being this kind of defender.
Yeah, buy-in. It's kind of what it's felt like. I feel like he would show flashes, but he wasn't asked to be a stopper like he is now. And like you said, man, like talk about it, a player completely just transforming his game. Mm-hmm. Like he's evolutionized not just his game, but his role. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's a lot harder to do than just, adjust your game. It's he's completely bought in. He's no longer being asked to score as much as he was, but he still punishes mismatches. Like one of the and that's what makes his team so fucking good offensively is they have an array of guys who they're literally like their best strength offensively is like punish mismatches, whether it's Jokic, whether it's him, whether it's Michael Porter Jr., like it's just their ability to just get to, Aaron Gordon's ability to punish smaller guys, make them pay off of switches, to still act as a hub, go out there and guard their best, small forward, power forward. And a big development is the non-Jokic minutes with him at the 5.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like it's
Switch
not
everything.
an issue. Yeah, it's a complete it's a curveball after I guess a fastball because Jokic is kind of slow, but it's a complete different. It's like throwing a 100-mile-per-hour heater after throwing an 80-mile-per-hour curveball. It's like you're expecting slow, and then it's boom, switch, contain, dribble penetration, like not play drop, play at the level. Like it's just a complete different scheme as soon as he steps on the floor, and it's literally just because he's at the 5. And huge credit to Aaron Gordon for sure, because I feel like he was not talked about for a while, like just forgotten.
This is how crazy Aaron Gordon's transition has been into this like great, like totally different player. Every once in a while, I'll be watching the Nuggets and he'll get a dunk, and I'll be like, "Wait, he got that in him?" And then I'm like, "Oh yeah, he went under both legs over a mascot. Like, yeah, he can dunk. He's just like
on a hoverboard.
He's just a whole different player, and it's contributed to a championship. And he's a real threat. I'm not gonna say you're not scoring on him, but to be this defensive stopper, kind of, I want to say all of a sudden, and credit to Mike Malone once again, incredible coach. Getting them to buy in on both ends. Like he's on both ends just turned this team into damn near an art form. Like I feel like this team, like they don't get the credit they deserve, but the people who love basketball, like you can't dislike this team. Like it's just beautiful fucking basketball on both ends of the floor.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, credit to Mike Malone for that. Because there was a lot of – it was a strange team before this. Strange is a crazy word in a sense, but, like, it was sort of disorganized. You had the Nurkic and Jokic thing. You had Kenneth
Lawson.
Yeah, it was a – how do you put this thing together? And it's been such a perfect mesh of player styles, player development, just – whatever Mike Malone needs a player to do, he somehow maximizes that, even if that's not what they're known for. So I want to give him credit for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The team they've been on a tear for a while now. So
yeah,
shout out to the Denver Nuggets. Again,
so
it's ironic. I apologize because I never make any like forward thinking tweets or like, like I think this team's gonna win the finals. Last year, I had watched so many other games during the December, January run that I was like, I literally tweeted, I was like, yep, Denver Nuggets are winning the NBA finals. I tweeted in like January and like it got like no likes, no retweets. And then I hated that when we played them, I was like, shit, like I'm still going to be right. But like my team's losing, man. It was tough because they were just, like you said, man, like they play basketball. Like if basketball was written in a handbook, it would be the Denver Nuggets offense. If team defense was written in a handbook, it'd be, and they're not the best defensive team. I don't want to say that, but for what they have available, like for their physical limitations, Jamal Murray is not a great defender either. Like, Michael Porter Jr. is not really a great, like he's big, but like, he's, they have their limitations, but in general, as a concept of a team buying in, just beautiful. And I feel like we should be blessed to have him, even though OKC gave him rough for the money, man. That was different.
Ted Holmgren had like 9 blocks. It was ridiculous.
We talked about him not too long ago, but shit, I feel like we got to talk about that motherfucker every time. He's special, bro.
I swear to God.